Let's make some maple bourbon glazed ribs. Whoop, whoop. And we know that they're tender like always, as a mother's love. Let's get started. All right, let's cook some maple bourbon glazed ribs. First thing I want to do is, of course, get my ribs out of the pack, get them dried off. This rib right here looks pretty good right out of the pack. I'm not going to trim anything off of it. The only thing I'm going to do is skin it. And let's see here. There we go. That rib's prepped. Well, all we're going to do is rub it and run it. All right, let's go to this side here. Look at that. I see a little bit of meat hanging off. Whoa, let's throw that knife around, stab myself. Get that little bit of flat meat off right here on this one. And I'm not gonna do any more trimming on this rib. Now, let's see if we can skin this one with ease too. There we go. Now, that is done, I'm gonna tell y'all, that's a big old rib right there. Now today, I'm just going my hot rub. Now I'm gonna have a truthful confession with y'all about my hot rub. It's really not that hot. This is the best all-purpose barbecue rub that I sell, in my opinion. For cooking just straight pork butts, pork chops, whatever, I don't think it's a better rub out there. But if you've got another one you like as your favorite, be sure to use it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn these over. Yes, some of that rub does fall off, but not much. Now, let's get these turned around and get this side seasoned. I'm gonna pick this rib up, kind of go down the side there. All right, once we get these loaded up with hot rub, and it's really just an all-purpose barbecue rub like I said, we're gonna get outside, get these on our Rectech, and let them smoke over some roll oak charcoal pellets. Let's go. All right, we've got our Rectech fired up here. As you can see, we've got plenty of those roll oak charcoal pellets over in here. Let's get that grill lid shut. I'm gonna give it that normal hour and a half and take a peek at it and see where they are. I always say an hour and a half, but usually ribs have to go about 2 hours or a little over before the bark is set. But I always like to peek because I don't want to ruin a rack of ribs. All right, let's make up a maple bourbon glaze for our ribs out here on the grill. I'm gonna be using some of Bobby T's bourbon sauce today. I'm gonna tell you, if you guys hadn't had this, he uses a really big premium bourbon in this. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but I'm gonna go about 3/4 of a cup. It is really good. If you hadn't had it, be sure to give it a try. Now I'm gonna come back with our maple honey habanero glaze. It's not super hot, it's about a 5 on the scale. And I'm gonna come back with about a 1/2 cup of that. Now, just to kind of give this recipe a little bit of zip, I'm gonna use a little bit of Dijon mustard. About a teaspoon is all I'm gonna do. And let's get in here and mix this up. That's good. Now, this glaze has got the right amount of heat to it from the habanero and Bob's bourbon sauce. The Dijon mustard gives it that little bit of zip in the back end. You guys are really gonna enjoy this. I'll be truthful, I think I'm gonna have to take this mixture on another protein because it's that good. You're gonna have to try it. All right, we're right at the 2-hour mark on our maple bourbon ribs here. And you can see that they are hot, but this rack is not super thick, you see that? And so it's not gonna take long to finish. I'm only gonna use a little bit of apple juice today, just a little bit, not much at all. This rack here is a little thicker. It might take a little longer, but we made our sauce and glaze up already. I'm gonna give this about 15 minutes and I'm gonna stick the sauce and glaze on here to start warming up. And we'll be back. All right, our ribs on our Rectech have been cooking about 3 hours and 15 minutes. I know that they're done here. When you can take and it starts to pull through there just like it did, I know these ribs are done. Let's get them off. I'm gonna let them rest for about 20 minutes, and we're gonna come out here and glaze them up and get ready to eat. All right, it's time to glaze these maple bourbon ribs. Let's get them out of the wrap, see what they look like. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. Ooh, these gonna be good. All right, let's get them back on here to glaze up. All right, let's get our maple bourbon ribs off. Whoa, wow. Incredible looking ribs, guys. All right, let's let these ribs cool for about 5 to 10 and we're gonna bust in them and taste them. All right, these maple bourbon glazed ribs smell incredible, y'all. I know they're gonna taste good, so just to recap, I took some Prairie Fresh Prime baby back ribs. You can buy any rib you want. I will say that, I probably say I use Prairie Fresh a lot in my videos, but I like Prairie Fresh ribs. The consistency I find is very good. I didn't use a binder or anything on these ribs. I went straight hot rub. Like I said before, my hot rub is not hot. It's just a really good all-purpose barbecue rub. If I had to choose one rub to use on pork from here on out, honestly, it'd probably be the hot barbecue rub, and I don't tell a lot of people that, just because it's a really consistent flavor profile. We put that on, let our ribs smoke over roll oak charcoal pellets in our RT 1100 Rectech grill. We come back with Bob's bourbon sauce, which is Mama T's bourbon sauce, Mother Tammy. And then we added a little bit of our maple honey glaze to it, and we used a little bit of Dijon mustard just to cut it, to give that little bit of zing in the back of your throat. And I can tell you, these ribs right here, they have perfect bone pull. They've got that wiggle. I can take and lay them on my hand and look at them wanting to break. I mean, that right there, and they will break. Just as easy as you please. You know that we're eating a tender rib here today, just like every day, by the way. A lot of people are intimidated by ribs, but ribs are not that hard to cook. You don't want purely fall off the bone ribs. If you do, you should just cook pulled pork. That's the truth. A rib is meant to tear off like that right there, but still have that consistency to break free. Now let's get in here and give it a try. Wow, that little bit of heat and then that kiss of maple, this makes this an incredible rib. That bourbon sauce shines through. I really, really like it. You guys should give this one a try. It's another great rib recipe and just something a little bit unique. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and of course YouTube. I'll see you next week with another video.